How now, brown cow? We're gonna get through this somehow. We talk a lot of crap. Sometimes we rap, but that's not important right now.
That's not important right now.
You sound like a wounded wolf in heat. Stop it.
Welcome to our show. Thank you, Jared. That's our theme song. Jared, I hope you wrote that down.
That's our theme
because
song
I'm
right
going to demand that we sing this every time we start.
They want a theme song. My God, really?
No, I think it's good. I think it gets us, gets people in the mood.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. I've been doing a little bit of research into listening to some more podcasts, and a lot of people, while they're waiting for guests and so on, they play this music, and obviously you cannot play copyrighted music unless you pay for it.
Right.
And so you got this kind of free tin music. I mean, Tracy's famous for that. If you listen to Tracy's, by the way, Tracy Jonathan Hutchins, who we had on the podcast previously, he has a great series he started on YouTube called "I Slap You Down."
I'll slap you down.
That theme music he's using there is kind of what got me into the idea we should do something similar. I mean, we can't be as creative as that, in the sense that, I mean, that's funny. That I loved it.
Yes,
it's catchy. But you see, I'm not saying that we go into that. I mean, that's not. We're not going to focus on that. But
no, we're not going to focus on theme or anything like that. I understand.
But I just love that too. So I'm telling people who are listening right now, go and check out Tracy.
You should. Yes.
What's his YouTube channel? Let me just see. So Jared, you're going up to be the 10th episode next week.
10th episode already?
10th episode.
My God, yeah. I'm amazed. I'm amazed we survived this long.
10th episode.
How about that? Well,
that's
a milestone.
It's 10 weeks we've been doing this thing. It's
10 weeks we've been doing this sort of crap.
Yeah,
my God.
It's
and people actually want to listen to us. That's kind of weird.
We just do like a little. Yeah.
A little round of applause.
Yeah, we need to really seriously think about what we want to do for this 10th episode. Also, some news. I've gotten a job.
Congratulations! I am so proud of you. I wish I could kiss you right now. But no. Now I mean that in a non-sexual way, just so you know, because I don't want you to get the wrong idea or anything like that. You know what I mean? Okay. But congratulations, buddy. Good.
Okay, but before I get in, before you jump ahead, it's a short-term contract. So for the next couple of weeks, things are going to be a little tight. So I don't want to. I think after our 10th episode,
tighter than a frog's bottom. Okay, that's it.
I think after our 10th episode, I want to take a little break. I'm not saying that we're going to stop. What I want to do is I want to make sure that I don't say, well, no, I can't do it this week. I want to continue the consistency. But should something happen,
makes sense.
We can't do it. I think it could continue without me. Maybe. I don't know. We could figure something out. Maybe you could
try.
Do something with.
How could we survive?
I don't know, maybe like a Romuald or somebody, and you do something, send it to me, and I will just upload it. So that way, you could free me up a little bit. But we'll see. We'll see. I mean, we have some time. I have to look at the workflow that these guys are sending me. I want to shout out to my friend Giselle, who believes in me and wants me to do this project with her, and I think it's going to be very exciting. I can't talk about it, but
okay, that's understandable.
Giselle is awesome. Thank you. But
okay, Giselle, you're awesome too. I've never met you, but I'm sure you're awesome. Yes.
Well, you know, she's a friend of me, a friend of mine on Facebook. So you see me in her
Right.
comment.
Right. Got it.
So Jared, what's been going on with you? What's been going on with you?
Well, no, I
What's
mean,
been happening? We don't talk about Jared too much, so let's talk about Jared.
oh, you want to talk about me? Okay. Well, apart from my near death experience.
Let's clap for Jared. Clap for Jared. Okay, wait. Oh, okay, fine.
So now,
yes, Jared, talk to me.
So the thing about it is, ever since my near death experience with the almond incident, I've been more circumspect in terms of my eating habits, or rather how I eat. So I'm being very careful about that. Yeah, I did recently did a voiceover project.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very proud of it. It's gonna. I hope it sets the stage for bigger and better things. I know it sounds cliched, but there it is. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I am looking at other ways and means to generate extra streams of income. You know, given how uncertain the job market is in our beloved country.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's what I've been doing thus far. I mean, we all have our lives to lead. We all have certain things that we need to look at. I mean, we've all have certain crosses that we have to bear, you know, whether it's in terms of what we do, the people we interact with on a regular basis. And the thing about it is, as I get older, I'm beginning to realize, and again, this sounds cliched, but I'm beginning to realize what is truly important. And it's not the acquisition of material things, although that by itself is somewhat important, but not that important as maintaining a good relationship with the people who have supported you, who know what you're about, who know what you're worth, and to not let the naysayers get to you. I think it's extremely easy, shall we say, to give in to the negativity and the bad feelings.
Yeah.
And so when that happens, you always have a support system on whom you can rely. Yeah. And I've been very fortunate in that regard, that I have people on whom I can depend for, not just in terms of support, but in terms of actually being there. And I'm hoping, my hope is that I can be as good a friend to them, that when they need me, that I can be there for them the way they were for me. And yeah. So I'm trying. For me, it's a learning process, because I've always been in a situation where I can depend on people, but for people to depend on me now, I need to focus on that. And I want to be there for them when the time comes. I know it sounds rather, it sounds kind of existentialist. It sounds, there's a kind of finality to it, but in reality there isn't. But it's just that as one gets older, like I said, you tend to have a bit more reverence, shall we say, for the things that really matter, the more intangible things that really concern the human heart, as it were. Yeah. So yeah, I'm thinking along those lines these days. And you know what? Emotionally, apart from professionally, but emotionally, you feel a lot richer and more at ease with yourself. You're more at ease with who you are. You know who you are. You begin to accept your flaws as well as your good points.
Yeah.
And you look at yourself objectively and you see what you can do to improve. If you know that you have a fault, if you know that you have a flaw, look at it and see what you can do to improve. You might not always get to that point where you say, yes, I'm better, because it's always a learning process. It's always a part of the learning process. And up to today, I'm still learning. I can learn from anybody. I could learn from a 5-year-old. If a 5-year-old could tell me this is how you do it, and I can say, wow, you know what? I never thought of that. And at least now that I have the emotional maturity to say that. Yeah. But I can only speak for myself. I really can't speak for others. I'm just tentatively feeling my way through my life's journey now, and I'm beginning to feel certain things are starting to unfold. And I'm not gonna force it. I'm not gonna force anything into existence. I'm just gonna sit back and just watch and see what happens. But at the same time, if the occasion calls for me to act and to do something, I'm going to do it. And when the time comes, again, you rise to that particular occasion, you do it, and you see what happens after that. So I know I'm waxing kind of philosophical here, but this is good. Something that
I was thinking that one of the things I want to make a mention, shout out to our friend Renata Hospitalis. Renata, who used to work with us.
Renata's ray of sunshine.
Renata and I do work from time to time together.
Right.
She's in print production still. She's a print, what we call a print broker. So if I ask her to print something, she gives me a cost and so on. Renata says she loves listening to podcasts, but she can't do it much now because she doesn't drive a lot because of the particular situation that we're in that we don't talk about.
Understandable.
Yeah. But I was thinking, that led me to think that people like to hear, especially if they're sitting down home. I think they don't want to hear too much, craziness. They just want to be calm. Just want to feel calm and feel, relaxed. Somewhat if they're driving too, you want to feel, chill. So I was thinking maybe one of our episodes, maybe in season 2, just be chill and talk chill things.
Well, in order to accommodate that, we need to have a couple of substances that were previously banned by the authorities, and we need to indulge in that a little bit. Then then we can be serious. Magic seeds.
Yeah.
A little bit of Sensevilla on the side, man. Kind of.
I don't mind that actually. I think that would be cool. Like
I mean.
You know
what'd be cool? You know what'd be cool though? I'll tell you something. You know what'd be cool? I don't think we've really thought about it. The concept of having sleep bars. What is a sleep bar? Well, a sleep bar is where people, for some reason or the other, if they need to take a nap from the rigors of work or something like that, and they come in and they pay like about $23. They can have a croissant. Then after that, they can just nap for like about half an hour, and then get back to work refreshed. A little siesta, and just have them just lie there and just listen to some music, ambient music, and they can just fall asleep and they can wake up and go back to work. And I think people need that. I think now more than ever.
Yeah.
It's just something.
Years ago, I was stuck in traffic. Years ago, and this is one of the plus sides of this pandemic. There is no traffic, literally, because of people staying home, and it has been something that has been a plague in this country. The amount of cars that we have on the road is just ridiculous.
But we have too many cars. It's ridiculous.
I was thinking to myself that there are so many people that come into this city. So what really sparked is I was dating a girl years ago, and she says that during the week, her mom and herself, because she goes to school, or she was going to school in Port of Spain, in the city. She and her mom lived in Trin City, and they just used to sleep in her mom's office. They literally used to sleep in her mom's office, and that to me sparked an idea. I said, well, why doesn't somebody, as you said, create a space where you can go? So in my mind initially was, it's like a giant parking area where you just park up and you go into this little. The Japanese kind of had it where it's kind of like a pod where you just go and lie down on a bed and sleep and then wake up in the morning, But it needed to be kind of like a hotel, but not a hotel, but not a skeezy guest house situation.
Exactly. It doesn't have to be anything like that. Yeah.
So the thing is that it was just toying with the idea that there was a market for people who lived outside of the city, who had to come into the city regularly and needed a place to just crash, or like our friend Stefan, who used to go to the gym. This is how I met Stefan, is because he used to go to the gym in Maraval because he was working in that area. And he said, I just come into the gym to kill time so that the traffic would die down. And by 8, 9 o'clock, I could just go down the road because he lives in South. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, that there's something about a space that you can go to after work that you could just relax and just, not rather than stay in the office in the toxic environment. You go somewhere where you could just kick off your shoes, sit and take a little half hour, 1 hour nap or something, get refreshed, and then jump in your car and go home. Deal with home. But the situation has changed dramatically since then. And actually, moving forward after this particular situation that we're in, would there still be any reason for that? But did you spark something else though? It's like, maybe we still need a chill space.
I think we do.
Space. Yeah, it's important. People need that. The Japanese had a destroyer office space, right? You know that, right?
Oh, really? This is news to me.
Yeah,
what's that about?
Japan, they created a room where every day they would put like junk, like old tables and old chairs and stuff. And when you got upset with your boss, you would go into this room and wreck it.
Like Office Space. Right.
Yeah, it's a wrecking place. It was designed to destroy things. So you get out your aggression, and I remember reading about it and how, the Japanese are weird. But that reminds me of that movie. That reminds me of that movie with Michael Keaton and this Japanese actor where I can't remember the name of the movie. I remember watching
Gung Ho. It's called Gung Ho.
Was it Gung Ho? When he went to Japan to talk to the new owners of the plant, and the first thing he saw was this Japanese guy prostrating himself in front of the bosses and beating his head against the ground. He's like, what the hell is going on? The Japanese work ethic and the way they do things is so different, So, but yeah, coming back to the chill space. Every
chill space
needed, to me, or space that you're in. You need a chill space. You need a place where you can, just go. I mean, my bathroom is my chill space because that way the kids don't bother me. When the kids were younger, they would stick with their lip fingers. Daddy, this is not working. Daddy, I'm hungry. Daddy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess when you're a parent, you really don't have a chill space in the strictest sense of the word.
Yeah.
Because kids can be intrusive little creatures. Yeah. They'll want to know.
They don't have any knowledge of personal space.
No, they don't. They don't until they get older, of course.
Yeah.
But I hear you.
Yeah. But you have a lot of. You had a lot of. Well, you had a lot of. I wouldn't. Is that you don't have cousins? You don't have a lot of cousins or family.
I have cousins. I remember what that was like. I could tell you that there were several instances where they could be annoying as hell, and I just wanted to get away from them as much as possible because I was a teenager. I had my own space and I did not want anybody to intrude on it, and I was a self-centered little rhymes with brick. And I was, believe it or not, that was me. And yeah, you just don't want to have anything to do with that. But that kind of dynamic changes entirely when one becomes a parent. Now, I'm not a parent yet. I have no kids, at least none that I know of. But
oh God.
yeah,
Oh,
I could tell you about.
Daddy.
I could,
Not just on
well,
that.
let me put it this
Not
way.
just
Let me
on,
put it this way.
I'm not
If I do have a son or a daughter, chances are he or she is probably in his or her early 20s right now, and possibly lives in the States. So yeah, I don't see anyone walking up to me who bears a striking resemblance to me and asking me, "Are you Jared Butts?" And I'm saying, "Well, no. Well, yes, I am. What's it to you, Dad?" I'm like, "What? What are you talking about?" And yeah, but no, I mean, like I said, the dynamic changes when you're a parent. Um, once you become a parent, everything changes, and it changes you.
Yeah.
Like it or not, it changes you.
Yeah.
You become aware of what it is. It's not always about you, because now you've brought this innocent human being into this world, and you're responsible for that kid's needs and wants. And yeah. So now you no longer have me time, and it's a lot tougher if you're a single parent. So and now and here at this point, I just want to salute all the single parents out there, single moms, single dads. You guys are doing a fantastic job. But yeah, that is what one has to look at. I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, sometimes I look at it and I look at the situation where you have kids or people have kids, and I wonder, how do they do it? Because I try to put myself in that particular situation, and I think I would have I say to myself, I would have handled it differently. And then there are times that I would say, and that's exactly what I would have done too.
Yeah.
But it's not an exact science. Parenting is not an exact science, and
there's no instruction manual, which I've told my kids.
There's no instruction manual for it. People say that you need a license to drive, you need a license to become a parent. But even if you did have a license on how to be a proper parent, it never prepares you for the curveballs that are thrown your way.
Oh yeah.
You're just not prepared for it.
And
I'm not a parent, and I know that.
Yeah, the thing about social media, we talk about social media, twisting and warping, and there's something else I wanted to talk about social media. But there's a thing about social media, twisting and warping the perception of women, right? So that's on the top of it. Women present themselves as a certain way, and that's how they get likes and clicks and so on, right?
Right.
But there's also the parenting part of it. So you follow a bunch of people and you think, oh my God, their life is so perfect. Look, they have kids and they look so happy and whatever.
Yeah.
But it's the filter, social media's filter that presents not only the fact that these women look awesome and they look like that, but the filter on parenting also makes this additional stress on parents. Like, why can't we be like this? These people, even what you mentioned, single parents, because I'm a single parent, and I look at other single parents and go, "You got it all together," and I wish I were like you. And I just have to keep telling myself that this is not the reality. Social media has not presented the reality, or at least not the full story. It's such an ironic thing that Instagram has a thing called stories, but it's not really a real story of what's going on.
No, because you see, I don't mean to cut you across, but social media is such a way that if you look at a particular scenario unfolding and you see this idyllic picture of dad of the kids, mom of the kids, and everything looks, they have it all put together. That's just the movie. That's not behind the scenes. Behind the scenes, there's a lot of grit, there's a lot of spit, and there's a lot of other stuff that rhymes with spit and grit.
There's a lot of puking going on.
There's a lot of puking going on. There's a lot of crapping. There's a lot of blood. There's a lot of vomit. And that is the stuff that they never show, which they should, because if they did, you'd have a far clearer idea, a more realistic idea of what is going on.
Yeah.
Now,
You know,
I got to tell you something. The spirit of full disclosure compels me to tell you that I admire parents. I greatly respect parents who can deal with a vomiting kid, because I'm going to tell you, if that happened to me, I'm a sympathy hurler in that if a kid throws up in front of me, chances are I'm going to throw up on you because it's going to set off a chain reaction with me. I can change a diaper. I can change a diaper, and I can do all of that. I can do all of that. But vomiting kids, I'm not very good at. I'm sorry to say. But it's something that I often wonder, how would I be able to deal with this sort of thing in a mature way?
Yeah.
This is how you learn on how to become an effective parent, because there's a lot of stuff that you're going to have to go through, and there's a lot of conflict that you're going to have to manage. Because remember, we're dealing with a little human being who's going to have his or her own independent way of doing things, and they figure that this is how they want to do it, but you've got to be there to offer them the guidance. And there are times when they're not going to know any better, and you're going to have to be and that's another key element. The key element is also patience. And I think, again, we as parents, particularly in our neck of the woods, we display quite low levels of impatience. Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah. Who's that? We just had a little brief interruption there with the creaking of the door. That's okay. Yeah. Because sometimes we have that. But social media is guilty of all of that. And it's not just about kids, it's also about marriage too. Because marriage is another thing. You're talking about parenthood, but marriage as well. You look at the marriage and you say,
couples on Facebook,
couples make me sick, though. I'm telling you, there's some couples who are really good-looking, very attractive couples, and they seem to have their stuff together. And you think to yourself, "Oh God, I hate them so much." But then, you do. I do. But then, even the best of relationships, you're going to have conflict. Even in the best of relationships, you're going to be at loggerheads with each other, and that's what they don't show. That's what they don't highlight.
So it's coming back to the thing about social media, and this is important because of our subject matter of being in the advertising world. Is that they've just passed a law in one of the Scandinavian countries where it is illegal to Photoshop a photo of a model. Find that article.
But why is it illegal, though? I don't understand.
Because of the advertising. So the whole idea of truth in advertising is that the whole idea of an influencer. So the influencer thing where I use this product and I look beautiful, but it's a Kim Kardashian style thing where she may be hawking the product, but the Photoshop or the filter in Instagram or the Photoshop worker in the background is making it look like that, which is okay if you work it in. All right, so if you have an ad on TV for Biore, like Biore is famous for that, where you pull the strip off your nose and you look perfect, right? People know that's an ad because it's ingrained in us to say, okay, this is structured in such a way to sell me this product. On Instagram, the influencer this is your friend telling you that this product works. And it's a whole different ball game, because what has happened is that you no longer think of this as an ad, but as a recommendation to two different things. You're not advertising the product, you are recommending the product, and people are going and buying the product based on your recommendation. And if Kim Kardashian, for example, is saying, this is going to make your boobs bigger, you're going to be slathering this thing all over your chest.
But in reality,
and it
right?
won't work. It won't work.
Do we really do we really need to rely on the word of someone who, I mean, what is this person's particular claim to fame apart from the fact that she's a TV personality? What is their,
the idea of
I mean,
the
does she,
influencer, and
uh-huh,
we're coming back to the whole the three things of the women having kids and couples projecting this veneer on social media. Selling a product has jumped into that universe and orbiting this universe of or orbiting this planet of perfection. So the product that you are selling, so a lot of products are now being sold online, which is no problem. It's not a problem. That's fine. But when you bring an influencer, and there are a lot of people who swear by this influencer marketing thing. There's this particular guy who made it his business to represent influencers and try to cash in on getting an influencer for your brand. So that's the niche. That's a niche. So he charges like $20,000 to find an influencer for your brand, and then that influencer just starts hawking your brand on his page. But it's supposed to be organic. It's supposed to be that the influencer finds a product. Now I don't know if you know, there's a Netflix TV series called Emily in Paris. Emily in Paris is
right?
wonderful. It's awesome. It's great. As a advertiser, it's like I call it the modern Mad Men because she's working in an ad industry now in the 21st century in 2020, 2021. And
Mm-hmm.
everything now is about finding the influencer. And there's a certain scene in Emily in Paris where she's invited to a fashion launch because she's in Paris. So obviously that's, it's a big,
Yeah, I mean, it's
and
one of the hotbeds of European fashion, Paris.
what
Yeah.
they did was they invited like 1,000 influencers, but you only got into this thing if you had over 10,000 followers on your Instagram page or whatever it is. And you were invited this thing, and I was just chuckling to myself because the scene setup showed all these people just taking massive amounts of selfies in front of the logo, in front of this, and she figured out that if she did something different, she would get in. And if the person in charge said, "Oh, I want you, Emily. You are going to be my influencer." And I thought that was awesome because she was able to game the system. And it was a little send up, a little parody of the system. But the idea of all of these fake looking people doing all of this fake stuff, and she's trying to be authentic, but at the same time be a little fake too, is very telling for this new age of advertising that you're working in. It's interesting we got onto this topic. I don't know how we got onto this topic, but the idea that that you're projecting this style or this person that doesn't really exist is very interesting. Psychologists would call it insanity.
Well, no, I mean, listen, advertising is always about this. The concept is as old as the hills itself, as old as the hills. Advertising is about not just about selling. Is not about selling the product by itself. It's just about selling the emotion or selling the illusion, if you will.
Yeah.
And it's something, like I said, it is as old as time itself.
Yeah.
I can remember, and this is where I get to sound like a really, really old fart, but I can remember a time when, and this was back in the late 1970s, they had a TV ad, a local TV ad actually, highlighting superhero action figures.
Mm.
Now, my favorite action figure at that time, back in 1978, which just goes to show you how old I really am.
Yeah, you're not old.
Oh, dude, trust me, I'm old. Was The Amazing Spider-Man.
Mm.
And the one scene, and this was done locally, by the way, to see him actually slide down a pole. No, not that way, but he was sliding down the pole, giving you the illusion that he was actually performing his spider powers.
Yeah.
And it was all for the princely sum of $19.95, which in those days was a hell of a lot of money. And I think it was available at a place called, I think that was like the Walmart of our time, Kirpalani's.
Mm-hmm.
And And I said, I gotta have it. I gotta have it. I just gotta have it. I want to see if you can do that. Well, I bought it. Well, I didn't buy it. My uncle bought it for me. And I was like, okay, Spidey, do your stuff. Put him on the wall. Nothing. Fell down flat like a stone. And I suddenly realized that, truth in advertising, really? Was it? And it's the same concept. There's this illusion that, people are going and taking selfies of themselves. It's all just so, yes, wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, beautiful.
You were betrayed by your hero. You were betrayed.
I wasn't betrayed. I wasn't betrayed by Spider-Man. I was betrayed by the damn company that came up with this concept in the first place. Really.
Yeah.
And I just thought, oh man, that sucked.
Yeah.
And I just lost interest in the action figure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you want to have this idealized sort of notion that, oh my goodness, once I see this, once I see that, if he says so, if she says so, then it must be true, right?
Yeah.
If I can see 4 or 5 people playing basketball in a wooden box suspended by a crane, and that was done with through the miracle of Evo Stick. If it was that strong, well, yeah, I believe it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And because that was our influences at the time.
Yeah.
Conducting demonstrations, having particular personalities, whether they were hawking a stout or an alcoholic or some other alcoholic beverage or something like that. That was something that you wanted to see because they had the clout, they had the influence. Hence the term. So, but you see, but you gotta have. But I think any proper influencer worth his or her salt has got to have some kind of degree of integrity.
Yeah.
You can't just have somebody experience that first bout of fame, and when they start to say things and do things, and they say the product is this and the product is that, they start believing in their own hype, and they think, oh yes, well, you know what? God is speaking through me. I can do no wrong. No, that's not how it works. That's not how any of this works.
You're being a Kanye. That's Kanye. Yeah. Kanye believes his own.
Yeah,
hype.
Kanye believes his. Yeah, but Kanye believes his own crap, and he's entitled to do that because he's Kanye. He can do that. But if I'm impressionable enough, and I think, okay, fine, I like Kanye, I can go with, and that's another thing. You got to have a certain degree of likability too. Yeah. Likability, integrity, all that is important. Look, okay, maybe we're straddling the line between influencers and spokespersons. But one perfect example of a spokesperson or influencer, depending on your point of view, for me, is this lady by the name of Stephanie Courtney. Now, Stephanie Courtney is not a very well-known personality. You don't know her as Stephanie Courtney. You know her better as Flo, that lady from Progressive Insurance. Mm-hmm. She's been doing this for a long time. She's been doing this since 2007. Mm-hmm. And as far as I can tell, I don't know if she's still doing it, but last time I checked, she was still doing it. But she has a lot of staying power. And people find her annoying and things like that. Well, okay, fine, but that's her persona. Mm-hmm. But the thing about it is, she's not involved in any kind of scandal. She's never done anything off kilter in terms of behind the camera. She hasn't done anything off kilter. And that and she has to have some degree of influence because she's still there, and people respond to that. They like that kind of thing. And I think if you're going to be a proper influencer, that's what you need to have. You need to have that degree of likability. You need to have some sort of integrity, not just in terms of the persona, but in terms of who you are as a person. Yeah. And I think once you have that and you believe in the product that you're selling, and that's another thing too, you have to believe that this is it. This is what you believe in. Yeah. And if you show that, if you exhibit that belief, people look at that and they say, hey, you know what? I'm going to go and do that. I'm going to get that. I'm going to go get that thing. I'm going to go do it. But if you have somebody saying, well, I believe that this is the best product in the world, blah, 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 yakety schmackety. And I don't care what you think, but this is works for me. No, that's forget it. Forget it. By the time you start to act like that, I'm zoning out completely.
Yeah. But to come back, I had three things I wanted to kind of touch on. One of them, first thing was the toys and advertising. You touched on an idea there. You remember the Tunnocks commercial?
Hey, dude, let me tell you something. That is turning out to be the holy grail.
I'm trying to find it. I can't find it.
That is the holy grail, papi, of TV ads, of local TV. The holy grail. It's like a legend now. Everybody's seen it, but they can't seem to find where this thing is. And I know it has to be. And that's another thing about us as a culture. We don't respect the work that we do. We just don't. But everybody remembers it. The aliens have taken all of the world's supply of Tunnocks bars, and they had to send a force to go get the Tunnocks bars. And what do? They end up killing the aliens to get the damn thing. No. Come on, let's be real. Let's be real
anymore.
Let's be real.
I think
it's just there, right?
I think you need to reenact the ad, though. I think we do. Remember. We need to reenact the ad for the people who don't know what we're talking about. But all I remember from that ad was, all I remember from that ad, because we're talking about toys, is that there was a Star Wars Empire Strikes Back toy that featured prominently in it, which was the Snow Speeder from the Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, yes.
As the I think it was the alien's craft.
That was the alien craft.
You don't do that. Those things you never did. To hell with copyright.
Oh, please. Back in those days, we could have gotten away with murder if we could. Yeah.
Right, but I remember the kids' costumes had a little hole around their mouth so that they could eat the Tunnocks, and it looked like a gimp suit. Now that you think it's like kids wearing a gimp suit, I'm like, okay, this is creepy. In hindsight, it is creepy, but in those days,
it is.
I remember the toy, and I remember the Tunnocks, and obviously all those things aligned for it to be remembered. It's so memorable. Is that to this day and age you'll always remember it. But I cannot remember how it started. How the actual commercial, what the actual commercial was, you know?
I can tell you how it started. So a bunch of kids, right, sitting around a table. And I think the head kid is saying that the aliens have confiscated all of the world's Tunnocks chocolate bars. And the kids go, oh no. And they say, well, this is a job for the Tunnocks Space Force. So they find themselves, they travel to the alien base. And you see the aliens just having an orgy of they just eating the Tunnocks.
Yes.
Tunnocks, and you see the bits of the wafers, falling from their mouths and going Tunnocks. And next thing you know, you see these kids turn up with these ray guns, and they zap the poor aliens. The aliens fall down dead. Yeah, violence and all that stuff. There's a lot of violence, and then the human kids help themselves. And the strange part about it is you have the voiceover saying, Tunnocks wafer bars are perfect for aliens and earthlings. And I'm thinking, but you just killed all the aliens for Christ's sake. What is that? I mean,
not only that, I think they fell forward onto the table, so they're dead, and they're still in scene.
And then, I mean, I wouldn't make the whole thing just so surreal. Is that these kids are eating, the human kids are eating the Tunnocks bars over the dead bodies of the aliens.
Adversaries,
God, what is wrong with you people? But it's funny as hell.
I think we need to make a call. We put it out there. We need to make a call. I'm going to ask Clint. I'm going to ask people who did this ad. We need a copy of this ad. I have a feeling it was probably a victim of the fired AVM.
Probably was.
It could have been, or the fired TTT, TTT, or TTT throughout all their the videotapes about 10, 20, 15 years ago. Right?
I know. Let me tell you something. I can vouch for this. When I was working at what was then known as NBS Radio 610, 100 FM, because back then the studios were based in Abercrombie Street in Port of Spain, and I worked there. Because we were about to make the move from Abercrombie Street to Marvell Road to be absorbed into TDT as it was known. Well, it's still known as TDT now, but back then it was known as ICN. Anyway, cut a long story short, they took most of the material, like ads and stuff like that, right? Old recordings, and they were about to throw them into the dustbin, into one huge dumpster.
Yeah.
I kid you not. And I'm thinking, but all of this is such value, it's such great material. Mm-hmm. Why are you doing this? Mm-hmm. There's so much good stuff here. Mm-hmm. And they were like, well, we had to cut costs on thing, we can't take that with us. But this is important. This is history. We had already old with the new kind of that was their mindset. And it was just so depressing. I mean, even in and when I worked at this place at CCN, they had back issues. They had a library. They had back issues of a particular newspaper, and it was strewn about all over the place. And it was just a treasure trove of stuff, all these archives, and they're all done in a haphazard. They were all arranged in a haphazard kind of fashion. And you're thinking, my God, why don't they employ somebody to just? They didn't have somebody who in archives. It was just treated as trash.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, if this is what they could do it with newspapers, with old newspapers and back issues of those old newspapers, God only knows what they could do with commercials. Because I'm going to tell you something. There were so many memorable commercials from the 1970s and early 1980s that for some reason or the other did not survive. And I'm afraid, it pains me to say it, but I think the Tunnocks ad is probably one of those casualties.
Yeah.
But I remember when it came out, 1981. 1981 was the year it came out. Yeah. I remember that well.
Yeah, because it came out when Empire Strikes Back came out, which was 1980.
When Empire Strikes, right. This was like late 1980, early 1981. Yeah. I remember.
So anyway, so we put out a call, but that's not important right now. It's really important that we find this commercial.
It's important that we find this commercial.
Yeah, it is. It is. I've been looking for it for years. I mean, there are a ton of YouTube videos by Tony Sucharan. Tony Sucharan put out a ton of videos, and I've been reliving some of them. One of them was the Devon biscuit with the vampire. And I know that ad because my friend Roel, God rest his soul, he was in it, and he made a big deal of telling everybody, I'm in the commercial. And we all went to the commercial. And all it was Roel turning around for almost a half a split second, not even a millisecond, of Roel turning around to stare at the screen in shock. And we all laughed at him. Like, you got a half a second of screen fame, you jackass.
You take what you could get,
I know. I mean, he was making a big deal. He was trying to pull women with this. So, like, I was in a commercial. Like,
I was in a commercial. Yeah.
Come on. Well, wherever you are, I still love you, man. Wherever you are right now.
Yeah.
There was something else I wanted to talk about when it came to I've now forgotten, but yeah, I mean that classic commercial and other commercials that
there's a ton of classic commercials that we've produced over the years, and we've never gotten a chance to see it. I remember when we used to work at the agency.
Yeah. Okay, so that is my guy who's working on the yard is pushing me. So excuse the noise. All right. Yeah. Sorry. Go on.
No. There's a host of. I remember when we used to work at the agency, there was a guy who showed us a whole reel of classic commercials from back in the day. And I gotta tell you something. Yeah. I'm gonna tell you something. Those commercials are not on YouTube, but I've seen them.
Yeah.
And I think too, that somewhere in this country, we have ads that through the miracle of a VCR, they're just in some old disused tape that is just lying there. And if we find it and we just air it, it's like, oh my God, it's like a gold mine of stuff of it. Because, you know, somebody once said, I think it was Andy Rooney. Andy Rooney, he used to be on 60 Minutes. When people look at old publications of Life magazine or Time or Newsweek, they don't look at the articles necessarily, you know. Historians don't look at the articles. What the historians look at are the ads. They look for the ads because it shows you the tenor of the time of what life was like back then, or what life was really like back then. And that is, so it is with us. If you thumb through the pages of any local newspaper from the 70s and 80s, it will give you a clear indication of where our minds were at the time. Even more so with TV ads and radio ads. And when you hear, I don't know about other people, I can't speak for other people, but for me, when I hear a radio ad from the 70s or 80s, a local radio ad especially, or see a local TV ad, for me it's almost the same. It's the next best thing to being in a time machine and going back in time, because you get to see what the world was like back then, you know, and that sense of awe, that sense of wonderment, and you show that to the younger folks, and the younger folks are they're just stupefied. They can't believe that this is what we used to do. And and I think we need to get back to, well, not necessarily get back to that level of you know, but show where we were at the time, what we were like in terms of the culture, in terms of what we were thinking. But so that's just my take on it.
The thing is, what has happened is coming back to internet, digital, social media. What has happened is that what we used to do, so the Tunnocks commercial is something that you'd see on a TikTok video now. I mean, it would be so batshit crazy. But in those days, you know, so in those days, it's part of the course. This badly produced, really terrible ad is what we used to see on TV. I mean, there were quite a few of them. And you're looking at this thing. You remember the Breeze commercial? Was it the Breeze commercial with the Breeze puppet? Was it the Breeze puppet, you know, and the woman outside? And, you know, it was just badly produced stuff. And then you go, a guy could just sit on his phone and do this in 15 minutes now. In those days,
he could. He could.
So the kitschiness and the craziness is still relevant. It's just a matter of now it has become so ubiquitous and everybody's doing it.
And not only that,
you really need to raise the bar.
Not only that, I think it's become sanitized and democratized. To the extent that, like you said, anybody can do this. But we had you see, the thing about what set it apart was that there was this kind of exclusivity in that only a certain group of people could have done this and gotten away with it. And the thing about it is we did it with love. We did it with love. We put a lot of backbreaking sweat into it. It was hard. A lot of sweat, a lot of tears.
Okay, there's a lot of sweat, a lot of tears. So let's take the Tunnocks commercial. Okay. You're sitting down in a meeting, you get a brief, right? This is the Tunnocks. You don't even get the product. You don't even get it. You don't. It's so damn cheap. They tell you, we want to do an ad for Tunnocks commercial. Now, mind you, this is probably not what happened. I'll tell you what really happened. What really happened is the client said, I'm going to do this, and he went off and did it himself. That's pretty much what happened in Tunnocks. I'm pretty sure. But in an agency business, the client sends his brief, and you sit down and you say, you know what? What is big today? Star Wars. Why we don't make aliens who've stolen the Tunnocks? Now, this will become after a lot of iterations. Let's not go through the whole thing. But you sit down and you think, okay, so here's the plan, right? So the plan is you're going to create a Star Wars level production. In your mind, you know, you're gonna have special effects coming out of the wazoo. You're gonna have and the account executive goes, What are you effing crazy? The budget is $2,000. Where you going and get this? Where you going and get that? Who the hell tell you? Boy, go back and fix this, please. So you say no. The idea is there. The aliens have stolen the Tunnocks, and we need to get it back, right?
Yeah.
And so your production team, and you go, Empire Strikes Back. Look, my son have this toy here. We go use this as alien craft. Good. We have the alien craft. We're gonna put it on a string. They didn't even have a string for that video. They had a hand hole in it. You actually saw pieces of the hand hole in it, right? Which wasn't even in front of a green screen.
Oh God, a green screen? They didn't have green screen. What the hell's wrong with you?
Chroma key out. They use chroma key because you can see the flickering of the background, the white wall that they did it in front of. And it's
oh God, yeah.
Screen, right? And you're like, okay, all right, so you got this spaceship. Now we need to dress these kids up. I have a gift. Let's get the kids to
you put the kids in spandex, for God's sake, or like I don't know what the hell they had back then.
But then somebody says, you do the commercial and you shoot it, right? You shoot on your rough cut, and the client goes, yeah, but nobody's eating the product. Oh shoot!
Yeah,
we forgot to put. We forgot. Okay, somebody. Okay. Production assistant runs out with scissors and cuts open the costume of the kid with the complete spandex covering, cuts it open, and now you have this big round area which just looks wrong. It looks wrong. No matter how you cut it, it looks wrong. And they go, okay, let's eat this thing. And then it's like, yeah, but what happens to the aliens? We need to get rid of the aliens. We'll just kill them on screen.
Yeah, we'll just kill them on screen. And we'll have the kids, and we'll have the human kids. We'll have the human kids eating the Tunnocks, over the aliens' carcasses. It's going to be okay. It's all good.
Idea to execution.
Yeah,
is that there's so many moving parts that now it's been condensed into somebody just shooting it on their phone. That there's no editing involved. There's no committee to tell you don't do this or don't do that. You've just done it. Now, I don't know what really happened with Tunnocks, but with the Tunnocks commercial, I'm pretty sure there were periods of time where people were thinking, this is nuts. But
it was good. But
craziness.
It was chaos.
Sesame Street. I think what's his name from Laird? What's his first name?
Christopher Laird?
Christopher Laird had made a very good comment, and it's always a quotable comment. He said, you lived in the age of Sesame Street. And this is what we based our whole life on, that we could do stuff like what was in Sesame Street. And so people in the ad industry said, let's do a commercial showing aliens being shot to death on screen, because that's what was in the Muppet Show. The Muppet Show had stuff like that. The Sesame Street had Muppets' head being blown up, and kids didn't care. You didn't care about those things.
Kids didn't care about those things because they thought it was damn funny.
You could do it now on TikTok and kind of get away with it. But if a big brand tries to do something like that Tunnocks commercial, now they'll be laughed out of existence.
And that's the incredible part about all of this, eh? I mean, it is incredible to me that in the 4 decades since that ad was aired, there's never been another ad for Tunnocks ever.
Yeah, well, Tunnocks is a brand that doesn't advertise.
It doesn't advertise. It doesn't need to.
It doesn't need to. It doesn't need to because it's become so ubiquitous with
everybody knows what the product is. Everybody enjoys it, and they have
that ad really did what it was supposed to do. Tunnocks
That's the point.
Tunnocks is not a kid's brand. Tunnocks is a stodgy old, and you eat it with tea kind of brand. This is an old lady eat a little chocolate biscuit, wafer biscuit, and suddenly it's kids. But the kids were like, okay, let's go and eat Tunnocks. Tunnocks was expensive.
Yeah,
it was expensive. I never really used to eat Tunnocks because my parents couldn't afford to buy that.
Yeah.
It wasn't a brand that you would buy.
It wasn't a brand that normally associated with kids, but it became a kid's brand. It became a kid's brand,
which is why the ad was successful. Now I don't know. I was only 4 years old or 5 years old. No, 81, 6 years old at the time. So I mean, I was younger. I don't remember. I mean, this is all in hindsight.
If I'm not mistaken, I think the original distributors for Tunnocks at that time was L.J. Williams Limited.
Well, it's still L.J. Williams.
It's still L.J. Williams, really?
Yeah, it's still L.J.
Well, look at that.
Yeah.
So maybe, and I'm just putting it out there. Maybe we need to talk to somebody from L.J. Williams, somebody who was there, or somebody who used to work at L.J. Williams, and maybe then they'll tell us if if that Tunnocks commercial still exists, if it's still in print. That's the thing we need to know.
All right. So we've gone on quite a bit. I want, just before we kind of wrap up here, what we're going to do for our 10th episode.
I think what we're going to do for a 10th, okay, here's an idea. For a 10th episode, we could talk about the times when we were goofing off, like, if we had a karaoke contest, you with the carnival, remember the carnival thing where you did your little bit of your cross-dressing escapade?
No, we were not talking about that.
Did I touch a nerve? Did I touch a nerve?
Never happened.
Never happened. Man, you had. Let me tell you.
Oh my God.
You had me thinking all sorts of things there, Ian Reed.
Oh no! I need to take a shower.
I'm not saying I'm gay. I'm just saying that there are times when I have to question my own sexuality now. But no, but I do believe I have traumatized my colleague, my good friend.
Let me brainstorm. This is how it is. It's Jared talking rubbish and me throwing up. So 10th episode, I think I don't know, I want to do something special. I don't know what it is yet. Maybe we have a little bit of time, but maybe we could try to see if we could get a host of the people all of our friends to have a big line.
I think that would be ideal.
Yeah, just
that would be ideal.
Talk shit. I think we should just have a theme with no theme. Just do like Seinfeld, big
be a show about nothing. But then again, it'll be about everything.
We will probably need to think. But what I want to really focus on the 10th episode is the fact that we've been consistent. We've done well. I mean, I never had any doubt that you and I would not do this. I think when I called you, I said, let's do it. We did like a 5-year-old. We just did it.
We just did.
You've had no experience doing this. I've had no experience doing this. We've been learning this thing. So I think we want to talk about that a little bit.
We were just flying blind without any instruments. My God.
We also want to talk about in the 10th episode, so come back for that. Why we call it.
Yes.
Why we call the podcast, but that's not important right now. I don't think we've talked about that. We want to talk about that. So I want to do a little sketch. Let's do a little sketch in the vein of the origin of we create a sketch on the origin of why we call it. But that's not important right now.
But
then we could recreate that scene. We could probably try it and practice it before we actually do this.
I think that would be best.
We could probably do it maybe let's do it like a radio commercial. Maybe we could start it off with the opening scene from that particular. We could start it off with that. Actually, recreate that scene, and that could be our radio commercial.
Okay.
Because we still need to do a trailer. We were supposed to have done a trailer for our podcast, but we never did. That's fine.
Trailer.
Cool. But anybody you want to invite? I don't know if you want to invite anybody. I know you wanted to invite the guy who draws street board. That's still on the cards.
That's still on the cards. I wanted to see if But you see, he's also a bit of a recluse, and he hasn't done any interview with anybody save for the local edition of People magazine. That was back in the early 1980s. I don't know if he'd still want to talk about that, but it wouldn't hurt to ask, because I think you need to ask repeatedly before you can elicit any sort of positive response.
You push for that. We could do that in season 2. I think we'll cut off season 1 in episode 10, and we'll create a season 2. What we'll probably just need to sit down, brainstorm some of the things we want to do, because there are a lot of things. We still have to bring back Jason. We still have to bring back Kevin. We have to bring Alicia
Jason
on. So,
Kevin, Alicia. Where's Alicia?
Maybe we could really calendar out properly in August.
I see it. Mm-hmm.
Maybe in August you could say, all right, you all, because Alicia's like, well, I'm only available on Wednesdays. It's like, all right, well, we'll do Alicia on Wednesday, the 15th of August or something like that. So we'll sit down and work it out off recording.
Y'alls.
I also want to try the Spotify app. So we want to do that. But now that things are relaxing a little bit, maybe you and I could meet up somewhere when we finally things. Maybe
it's been 2 weeks since I got the second job. So yes, I should be okay.
Yeah, we have to wait on the pleasure of the Prime Minister. Don't forget.
Oh, Uncle Keith. Right. Yes.
Right now it's curbside pickup. So until they kind of go back to when we could have sat down in Starbucks or something. When we do that, maybe that's
and hobnob with the rest of the literati. I love it.
The other thing I want to do, maybe for season 2, is actually go. I mean, I could pay for it. It's not a problem. Tell Ramol that we could come into studio and do a session in a proper studio with proper mixing and proper everything, and do a proper
studio.
Proper thing. So we talk about that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. This was fun. I think we had a fun time today.
We had a blast like we usually do.
All right. So what is a gimp suit?
What is a what? What the hell?
Okay, what is a Tunnocks?
What is a Tunnocks? A Tunnocks is a tasty wafer smothered in rich chocolate, whether it's milk or dark, but that's not important right now. Speak for your damn self. I'm going to have one.
We have to kill the aliens to get it.
We have to kill the aliens to get it.
The aliens to get it. But that's not important right now.
That's not important right now. Let's eat over their dead bodies. Come on, baby.
Thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you for listening. Thank you.
We didn't introduce ourselves. I'm Ian. This is Jared. This is at the end.
Jared Butts, Ian Reed.
We used to work in advertising. Please follow.
Please follow us.
Twitter.
Yes, Jared Butts. Jared Butts, one word. Twitter. Follow me. I'll follow you back if you want to.
Twitter too, but I don't really do the Twitter thing. But if you I'm also going to be writing a blog about my experiences of podcasting. So look out for that on my website, redesigns.io.
Yes.
And thanks for listening all the way through.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah, we'll see you next week for our milestone 10th episode, 10 weeks of doing this rubbish.
Episode, yes.
All right, Jared. Thanks a lot. Catch you later.
Catch you later, man. See ya.
Thanks.
All right. Cool.